Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll hear from additional manufacturers now.
My name is Mark Malkowski. I am president and owner of Stag Arms Rifle Manufacturing Company based in New Britain, Connecticut. I was born in New Britain. My father started his business in New Britain, and 10 years ago I followed in his footsteps and began my business there too. I started Stag Arms with the idea of offering a solution for the left-handed shooter. For many years, we had modern sporting rifles that would only eject to the right, so I came up with something that would eject to the left. Today we are one of the world's largest manufacturers of the modern sporting rifle in the country. I've been around manufacturing my whole life. I remember when New Britain was all manufacturing. But in the last 15 years, I've seen more and more jobs go overseas and more residents looking for work. We're not the manufacturing city we once were. We have a great workforce. The companies that have left behind talented craftsmen that have made it possible for us to create such a high-quality product. Stag Arms is proud to make 98% of its rifle components right here in Connecticut. When you buy one of our rifles, you're supporting the state of Connecticut and its employees. Our employees are all local, all live in the state, and most of them live right in New Britain. For years, firearms manufacturing in New Britain has been strong for business. When we started, we just had a small space in one building and a handful of employees. But with demand, we've since been able to purchase buildings, expand buildings, and we're looking to grow even more. Today, our family-owned business occupies 4 factories in the city and employs nearly 200 people. I couldn't imagine doing it anywhere else. Only in a city like ours can you have all your vendors in such close proximity. We can yell down the street to our plater. We can walk next door to pick up newly manufactured parts and have drivers deliver them not even a mile down the road. We're currently working at filling over a year's worth of back orders and plans to invest more into the city by hiring, expanding, and purchasing more equipment. We indirectly employ thousands of people throughout our city. As an example, just last year, Stag Arms spent almost $13 million just in the city of New Britain and $17 million in the state of Connecticut, supporting 70 of our Connecticut vendors, made up of machine shops, plating houses, printers, and other small businesses. Many of these businesses have been in trouble. As they saw more and more of the aerospace industry leave the state, they might not still be open if it wasn't for some of the work that they've acquired from us. In many cases, we make up more than 50% of their business. When it comes to manufacturing, and especially in Connecticut, we as an industry have an enormous footprint. A major benefit to having vendors so local is that it becomes more than just a business relationship with them. You see these people at stores, restaurants, and community events. You meet their families and discuss what's happening in the city. Many of them call me at home just to discuss what the future will hold for us. It's this type of working relationship that has made our business and community really strong. Stag Arms does depend greatly on the commercial market. Strict law enforcement sales alone can never be capable of sustaining the company. As valuable as we are to Connecticut law enforcement, there is just not nearly enough business. To give an example, it would be like a Ford Motor Company only making cop cars. They need that day-to-day commercial sales to stay in business. The commercial market is our strongest segment. We've had grown 60% in the last year, and that came from 30% growth in the previous year. Since the beginning, Stag Arms has had a huge impact on local and state law enforcement. We've donated rifles to many of the departments. We have offered law enforcement service and repair while they wait, and we've had individual officers purchase through our law enforcement purchase programs. These are only possible because of our ability to manufacture in state. Not everyone knows this, but in most cases, rifles are not standard issue due to budgeting issues, and most of the service rifles carried by our law enforcement are purchased by the individual officer and used on duty. If they would become illegal, even with an officer exemption, they would have little interest in purchasing something that they would not be able to keep after retired. It could put our officers in grave risk. We are a responsible industry. We can help create positive change and make our community safer. From day one, we've taken personal responsibility to provide comprehensive literature and complementary gun locks with every one of our firearms. No one told us to do this. No one regulated us. We just knew it was the right thing to do. In the wake of the recent tragedy in Newtown, we realize you've been asked to do something. But we must do it with fact and not just emotion. Before we lose thousands of jobs and millions in state revenue, put law enforcement officers at risk, let's look at what's been the common denominator for the recent violence where firearms were used, and that's unauthorized access. Bans have never been successful. If you look at what is done in Chicago and Washington, D.C., it's a clear indication of what happens. They only introduce black markets and turn honest citizens into felons. Unauthorized access to firearms needs to be our first focus. Expanding safety campaigns to secure firearms, improvements to our national instant criminal background check system, and increased punishment for criminals illegally possessing firearms. Those are the things that will prevent unauthorized use and still allow honest citizens to protect their homes and their families. In closing, please take your time. Look at all of the look at all the options, weigh all of the impacts, and know that the firearm industry in Connecticut, with its deep roots in the states, can help with a solution if we're given the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir?
Good morning.